Let's roll. Welcome to the show. From lasers to the CNC. What a journey, let's go. Santa's in the house. Tell me how you made it. Santa's in the house. Show me how you shaped it. Craft by craft, we'll see how you got here with me.
Well, hello, everybody. Appreciate y'all coming in again today. This is episode number 2 of Santa and the Maker. So hopefully we can continue doing this and talk to all these makers and learn how they've got where they are today. I've got a special guest. Let me get him up here on the screen with us.
Hello. How's it going, everybody?
No, this is Rick. We're going to have problems today, it looks like. So.
Am I frozen? You're completely frozen to me.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're just a little pixelated. Is it
Okay.
me?
All right. No, I think it's me. I just got a new gateway for our system, so it might be me. I may have to run upstairs. But anyway, if you can hear me right quick, just let me know on chat right quick. But I've lost Rick now too, so this is gonna be fun. So anyway, Rick Ramirez is here with us tonight. Don't know how long it's going to be because we're having a little difficulty on my end. But Rick, I appreciate you joining us. He's also co-host of Shop Talk Live. And then on top of that, he's got Rick's 2 Cents. And so most of us know him in some form or fashion. And I know he's also got another one, and he calls Script Deep Dive, which he's kind of, I think, started some. So got that. And then he's on top of everything else he's got going on. He's got an Amazon affiliate and he's a Lowe's affiliate. So thank you, Rick, for coming. We appreciate you spending a little time with us today.
Absolutely.
So
I saw you got some loyal fans already. I saw them pouring in the live early today.
So yeah, I make 1 or 2 anyway. So we'll get this thing started slow and build up. So, but if you don't know the concept that we're trying here, we're going to start with where Rick was born, and we're going to go through all the way up till today and find out how he got where he is now. So we'll start off, Rick, with the simple question: where were you born at?
St. Charles, Illinois.
St. Charles, Illinois. And was your parents from there, or did they grow up there?
So my how do I say this? I always think it's weird when people ask me where I'm from, right? And it's because when people ask me where I'm from, it's an awkward question for me because I moved a lot as a child. My father was a builder.
Okay.
So when you ask me where I'm from, it kind of makes you want to say, is it where I lived the longest? Is it where I felt was home, or is it literally where I was born, right? So if you ask me where I'm from, I'd say I'm from Pilsen because my family's from 18th Street in city of Chicago, right? But I've lived everywhere: North Carolina, Texas, Colorado, New Jersey, Canada, everywhere, literally.
Right.
So my dad is from Texas. People always ask me, well, where's your family from? Mexico? And that's a funny joke too, because I say McAllen, Texas. They said, no, where's your family from Mexico? I say, New Mexico. They said, no, where's your family from in Mexico? I say, Arizona. And they said, I don't think you understand the question. I said, no, I don't think you understood the answer, right? There was wars and borders changed. We got our butt kicked and we didn't leave, right? So I'm a half-breed. I'm half Native American and half Mexican.
Yeah.
So I'm from Illinois, but as a child, we left in 3rd grade, moved all over, and then came back, and I'm back in Illinois.
So where was the most? Where did you grow up most of your life? I mean, I know you said you moved all over, but was there one place in particular you stayed for quite a while versus the others? Or
no, we moved like every year and a half my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I went to 7 different high schools.
So it was kind of hard to make good friends and that kind of stuff, I guess, when you were young.
Yeah.
So where did you end up going to high school if you were moving that often?
I went to school in North Carolina, Fayetteville.
In Fayetteville.
Yeah. And then I went to school, and funny story about Fayetteville. I'm sitting in court for the company I work for, and the attorney I'm sitting next to actually went to school in Fayetteville, North Carolina. But we didn't know each other, but we actually were in school at the same time, at the same school. So that was kind of funny. And now we're in Chicago in a court system. But so I went to Fayetteville, Jackson, New Jersey. And I went to in two different schools in Illinois, a couple different schools in Illinois. So yeah, so just yeah, I hopped around a lot. Yeah.
So you need a degree from every one of those, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. So my stepfather raised me.
Right.
6 months after my stepfather died, my mother got re-engaged, and I wasn't cool with that.
Yeah.
So at 14 years old, I moved out, and I've been on my own ever since. I was emancipated at 15 years old.
But you know, the thing is, though, you made it. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I always say that it's God's favor, and that's the only way possible. Because every time I've made a friend with someone who's like a complete stranger, that person has made a drastic input into my life. Like, talk about a leap of faith, like going to the next level, like something just like, wow, like where did this come from? Left field. Like, you just meet someone. I was working in someone's backyard doing some work one time, and I said to the guy, "Hey, do you need a job?" He says, "A job?" I said, "Yeah, every time I work and you're always drinking." He said, "I'm a union, bro. I'm home by 3:00. And I sarcastically said, "You should get me a job." Well, he did. And I went from never be in the union to a general foreman. It's the highest position you can be in the union. So that's just God's, blessing, man. Just put me in the right place at the right time.
Right. Sure. So you didn't go to college. You just went directly to work, or did you go in the military? Either one.
So I double majored at DeVry, telecommunications, computer information systems. I was in the IT field. I was on a government technical support team. My family's third generation military, so my whole life I wanted to do the military thing. Didn't end up doing it. By the time I decided I wanted to do it, I had too much debt to be able to afford to go in the military.
Yeah.
So definitely a regret. I always thought, but then went to school in the union, went to full journeyman school, 4.5 years, become a journeyman. So finished that. And now I'm going back to school again. I'm going to go back for my master's. Just finished my CAP-M and going for my PMP. So yeah, I'm 46 years old and I'm going back to college. So it's kind of crazy.
Well, I'm 56 and I went back to school at 48 to finish my 4-year degree. So I totally understand that. You're never too old to do it. You see it. Yeah. You see these people all the time who are in their 60s and 70s that go back to school. So I always tell them, if you can do it, go back by all means. Because even if it doesn't do any good ultimately for your future, that pride moment when you get that little piece of paper, even though it sticks on the wall the rest of your life, that little pride in that piece of paper is something else. So,
100%.
So we'll get into now the important stuff, I guess you could say. So what was your very first craft? How did you? Rick was working. He was going to school and all this kind of stuff, and he said, "I want to start doing some of this," or "I saw this." How did you do that?
So I always did like the woodworking stuff, like just as a side hustle. I own a farm, so I would just put stuff in the front of my yard, and there's a lot of traffic, so it just kind of sell. And my uncle started seeing these the X-Tool commercials and the Glowforce commercials. And was like, "What do you think about these lasers?" And I said, "That's stupid." And he kept come to me. He's like, "Well, what do you think? What if I buy this? Could you help me?" I'm like, "Nah, that's dumb. Like, I want nothing to do with it." And I was totally like shot it down. And my uncle passed.
Right.
And started looking at lasers.
So just a slow progression from there. So and what was your first laser? Did you get an X-Tool as your first one, or?
No, actually, I'm not an X-Tool affiliate. A Tezer P5, a 5-watt laser was my first laser,
right.
And then I later upgraded to a 35-watt and went to a two CO2s. I have 3 fiber lasers, 3 diode lasers, 2 CNCs. Yeah. Oh, 3 CNCs actually. A little guy and 2 big ones. Yeah.
And you got your 3D printer on top of that too. So
yeah, the Bamboo. Yeah, and you know what? Actually, it's so funny. they just emailed me and said, "Hey Rick, we haven't seen you put any content. Just want to know if everything's going good. How are you liking your 3D printer? Blah blah blah." Bam, the 3D printer broke.
It's going to be a week or so.
So it's still on warranty. I'm going to email them and be like, "Man, I've had great time until now."
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 3 wires that go to the heating element that's on the nozzle. That's on. It heats up this part here and it monitors the temperature, right?
Right.
Well, on the back side, they literally just took a glob, I don't know, some kind of heat resistant, maybe the size of a dime, and just put it over the top of those wires. Well, from using it, finally just I saw a black blob on the and I'm like, I'm printing in blue. What is this? And then all of a sudden the heat element didn't work. And they stripped back the wires so far that they actually are arcing from between each other. So yeah. So I think that's a fail point for Bambu.
Yeah. Well, the 85X that I have, the one thing that I had an issue with is I had a clog, and they've got the wires that run for the heating element itself, and they run right behind the heating element. Well, of course, as that thing blobbed up, it grabbed those wires. And so as careful as I was trying to be, I ended up still breaking one of those wires. So I had to go in and take that heating element out. So, I can kind of understand, those wires they could hide them better, I believe, than what they do.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
So you went from lasers to then did you go 3D, or I know you had some DTF there?
3D printing was last. That's the last adventure. So to be honest, when I was looking at the CNCs, right? I think the biggest thing with CNCs is footprint for one, right? Second is power, because 220, 110, right? And then really just noise. Like, are you going to be okay with the amount of noise it's going to make? And I was looking at the PWM CNC, because no matter what brand CNC that anyone has, it's about a 90% chance they have the PWM CNC spindle, right? So I thought if they retrofit their product on every CNC known to man, if they're coming out with their own, they've already won through all the headaches of everyone else's. So it's like lessons learned. They have hands-on with everyone's and know like, well, this is good about that. This is good about it. Because everything has pros and cons, right?
Right.
But they said, oh, we're not ready yet. We're still in development. So I said, okay. So I went ahead and ordered the Onefinity, which I'm not complaining. It was good. But Onefinity took like months and months and months to show up because they slowly send you little pieces.
Yeah.
And about the time that the whole entire CNC showed up, PWM CNC said, the CNC's ready. We're going to mail it to you. And I was like, so I just spent all this money and I could have just waited.
Hindsight's 2020, of course. So
wow.
well, you also did some, I believe, shirt printing and stuff like that too. Is that correct? So
yeah. So I know I was like amongst I think I was like the 3rd or 4th person in the United States to do DTF. So that was kind of cool. So I really helped do some developing, and when the inks first came out. And I would say that everyone now is like DTF Pro, right? It's like when the Cricut came out and everyone was making stickers, right? But I would say that when DTF first came out, there was definitely some struggles for sure. And DTG as well.
all right, Rick. Sorry, just kind of went out on me there for a second. So
No problem.
if you want to try that one more time, you got into it how?
Yeah, so I did do DTG and DTF. DTG, I think I was like that, as far as I'm aware, I was like the 3rd or 4th in the United States that first started doing it, and I was kind of a guinea pig for some of these ink manufacturers and testing. A lot of behind the scenes stuff, maybe the stuff that's not published because it wasn't working, right? Like I would say, I was like a beta tester, so to speak. Yeah. So it was definitely a struggle when DTF first came out. DTG, man, DTG is amazing. I can print a dollar bill on a shirt and stick a real dollar bill next to it. And my ink color profiles are so spot on that you wouldn't be able to tell the difference from the picture which one is which.
You just need to look strip.
Right. But the only problem with a DTG is that, like, I'm a hefty duty guy, I'm a 2X, 3X guy for sure. And those size shirts they're kind of hard to fit in a DTG printer, so that's why I really like the DTF, and so that's why I got into DTF, but it was a struggle, but yeah, so that's how the apparel started.
Well, a lot of us know you from your YouTube days. So how did that first start? And also the follow up to that is, how did you meet your co-host that you had on Shop Talk Live?
So when I first signed up for YouTube, right, it wasn't actually to post videos. It was just to be able to comment. So I would say, so if you look at my YouTube, I've had it like 8 years, but I'd say I'd consider myself kind of an influencer for the last 3, right? And the reason I created Shop Talk Live, I created that Christian podcast, and then I created Shop Talk Live. But I created the Shop Talk Live because I thought that, like, there's people, when you look at these influencers, I call them pump and dumps, right? Like, if you go look at any video of mine, of anything, I don't care if it's this nail gun here, right? This is the best nail gun in the world. And then next week, this is the best nail gun in the world. And then the next week, this is the best, like, how many times can that be the best, right? And I understand, like, when the technology come out, you can be like, oh, this is the best I've ever used. But every laser you review can't be the best. Just not possible, right?
Right.
So there's always going to be more pros than cons. As long as there's more pros than cons, it's good. So I said, well, I wanted kind of a well-rounded group of people. And I said, you know what? Anyone who will be on Shop Talk Live is only someone who, to me, can't be an infomercial. Has to be a true person. And it has to be someone that I respect their opinion, because at the end of the day, like, your opinions directly affect each other, like for sponsorships and things like that. So, so we've had some definitely good hosts, Roger from Roger Shop, Steve from Steve Makes Everything, Andy Birds Builds, Clack often joins once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And Skylar's amazing as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The artist. Skylar, the artist.
And the Bearded Viking. Yeah, it's so I've definitely made some really good friends on YouTube. So it's definitely cool. The building the community, and that's the whole idea too of Shop Talk Live's Facebook group. I say all the time, it's not my page. So, like, if you do the same thing I do, post away, man. There's no, Yeah,
I understand that fully. So let me ask, as far as, when did you start into testing machines and doing that kind of stuff?
Well, that came when I said, well, I kind of like lasers now, since my uncle was saying no, and I just couldn't afford them. Like, the thing was, like, so I tell people all the time is, like, don't try to keep up with the Joneses. Get in where you can fit in. And it's okay to test something, right? Like, if you want anything, like, you don't always have to have the best of something or the biggest and the baddest. It's okay to start somewhere like that 5-watt laser, and say, is this something that I could learn? Because at the end of the day, the software is software. And if you're just like, this ain't gonna work for me, then you know what? You're not out a whole lot of money. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I started. Just slowly with the lasers, doing the reviews, and then just not doing the one video. This is the best laser. Doing the full review, and then making videos of stuff making with the laser. Like, hey, these are the problems I had. This is how I fixed them. These are the upgrades I did. Because people want to see, like, well, how are you using it, and what kind of money can I really make with it? Just being honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that just kept snowballing to where you got to be an Amazon affiliate and a Lowe's affiliate and that kind of thing.
Yep. So my biggest sponsorships right now are Lowe's and Best Buy.
Are they?
So those are pretty big names. So I'm getting there. It takes time. So yeah.
You just, I think I said it on your show the other week. You just can't have any expectations to start with. You just have to get on here and do what you do, and then you hope for the best. So,
yes.
I'll go ahead and tell the people in chat, if you've got a question for Rick, please let us know. So as we continue our discussion here. So with all of that you've done up to this point, and especially in the crafting and that kind of thing, what have you found to be the most frustrating thing that you've done or had to do or tried to do?
The understanding of having one is like having none.
Yeah.
We just talked about the 3D printer. Like, I think whenever you get anything, right? You get a laser, you get a CNC, you're learning something new. You're going to shift your focus to kind of like, like a horse, with
Yeah.
the blinders on, and kind of say like, I need to learn this. I need to, deep ingest this, understand this. And once you get to that point, like, okay, this is just another tool in my belt, then you can run the 3D printer and also do a laser. You can run the laser and also, once you can run 3-4 different machines at the same time, all the time, that's when you start making decent money. But what sucks is having one's like having none. The 3D printer is done. And a 3D printer, no matter how expensive it is, they all are slow. So, yeah. So, with only having one 3D printer, I kind of just like, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah. Well, I caught part of that because we went out again. So definitely going to have to work on my internet this time, it looks like. So it's not Rick doing it this time, guys. It's me. So, but anyway, well, so what the opposite of that? What's the most rewarding thing that you have done?
So my niche is memorial stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And there's I live in the Chicago, and there are a lot of gang violence. And it seems like the moms are the ones who are coming to me. And the moms are introducing them to me. I've even had a couple of funeral homes are referring customers. I was approached by a couple of funeral homes and said that basically they wanted me to charge like 4 times the price because they want to outsource me, but they want a piece of the pie. And I said, look, man, like, honestly, like the amount of time that I put into making these, it's really not profitable. It's not the most business sense thing, but I get so emotionally into these things. And when I'm done, I feel like I give someone something about someone that their son passed away, their husband passed away. These people are like my friends for life. They refer me customers upon customers, will cry, pray with me, hug me. Like, no one's gonna do that for anything else. So to me, that is like, wow. Like I really, really enjoy doing it. It's not, like I said, it's not the most business smart sense for the price I charge, but it's also been allowing me to adapt different things. Like we were saying with the CNC, like people make fun of me saying, hey Rick, the CNC is just a green screen, you're not using it enough. And I tell people all the time, like, YouTube doesn't pay my bills, man. Like these tools get used. Like when a customer's order comes in, like that's what I got to do. So now what I'm trying to do is to use each one of my tools by adding something to it. Like, so with the flower box, I was using the laser engraver to do like real nice script letting. So now I'm trying to put that on the CNC, but I'm also doing an inset on slate coasters and using the lasers to laser engrave their face. So just like when you could use the CNC, you can use a laser, you can start doing different things. That just makes, you're just one level up, than somebody else trying to, do the same thing you're doing.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind having a CNC, but I just don't have the place for it right now. So that's kind of down the road at some point. But, I love my lasers that I have now and in my 3D printer. So, What other craft would you like to try, or is there another craft right now that you'd like to try? I'm sure you're so busy you probably don't have time to do another one. But
well, I said I was into my niches, memorial stuff. I want a UV laser.
Yeah.
And I know there's people who are making those little squares with people in it, and so the difference is if you were to sell them, and being in a tourist area, and you were to make it tourist things or make it something that, Christmassy, that's one thing, you're spinning it to your twist, to your niche. But if someone's just making memorial stuff, but that's not their niche, they can sell them. But if I do that a lot, to me, that'd be really good for me.
Yeah. Well, so, you creating the memorials and stuff, you're giving somebody something that lasts and means probably more than anything I would make as far as what I sell down here. So that's pretty awesome. Have you ever thought about actually, that I think it's AP Laser, where they actually do the actual rock memorials? Have you looked into that?
So I know the owner very well. Actually, he just posted yesterday 20% off on our Facebook group if you're looking to get some discounts. So I was looking at his Lowboy, right? And there's another company in Wisconsin who uses his lasers to do the headstones. They were trying to tell me like, hey, I should go out there and talk to them. So at one point there was some talk of contracts, but so I guess between them and Eon Lasers, like there were some pretty big companies that approached me, and some of the reasons that I stray away from some deals is because they want exclusive rights. And like Eon was going to give me like, wow, like I would have been set up very nice in my shop. But if I can only make content for 3.5 years on Eon lasers, like it's going to get old. Like, you know, are you going to give me every new model as they come out? No. So I have just this laser for 3 years. I'm supposed to continue making video.
Yeah.
That's not going to work, you know?
Yeah.
So, so not everything always, the stars are not always aligning, so to speak, when you trying to make some of these deals. But I would definitely hope that one day I can work out something with that laser, because that would be phenomenal if I could do some granite headstones. That'd be cool. But yeah, he's a very cool guy, down to earth. It's crazy that you can just talk to him because
right. House. So well, let me ask you this. Yeah. We kind of watched you a little bit. If we watched your Shop Talk Live, we watched your shop there, or your basement, basically. We redid all that. So where do you see you going from there as far as your space, or do you pretty much where you think you need to be for now?
No, so I own 4 acres.
Mm-hmm.
So I always say enough to keep me out of trouble. And I have 2 garages, but I got a lot of toys in them, right? So they're full of dirt bikes and 4-wheelers and snowmobiles, and so I would like a space outside of my house and take all this and pull it outside.
Right.
And then that's my next step. So I said, I think Lowe's is going to get me there. I'd say that. You know, everyone thinks the one thing people always ask is, you know, with YouTube and influencers, is like, how much money do you make? And what people don't realize is, even when you get something for free, it's not free. Like, someone's going to give you $10,000, $15,000 CNC, and you're like, amazing. Okay. Now you got to spend $3,000 in software. You need to spend, you need to run power, you need to run duct, you know, so you're $5,000-$6,000 in to give something, someone gave you something for free, you know? And so it all adds up, you know?
Well, and your time commitment for either the videos or whatever you need to do in exchange for that as well. So
yeah, Lowe's is very demanding.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure
Lowe's is probably the most demanding company I've ever worked with.
Right.
They don't want an infomercial. If you sound too scripted, if you don't sound genuine, they're kicking that back. Like, they don't want you to sound, they want you to sound like a real person, give them a real opinion, even if some of it's negative.
Right.
But they want, they're very specific, 58 seconds, 13 items. And you're like, dude, I'm not an auctioneer. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't do that in 58 seconds. Take like 6 of those out. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
but yeah.
What is there somewhere else that you said earlier it was Lowe's and Best Buy? Is there somewhere else that you would really like to have as an affiliate at some point?
Well, every tool I own is DeWalt.
Yeah, we can see that from the wall back there.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
There's the commercial. There's the first video right there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I have one box behind me that's $3,800. It's just one box, you know. But yeah, so I would love, if I got DeWalt, that would be like, man, that'd be amazing.
So the one thing we didn't talk about a little bit is your actual career, what you do when you're not doing your videos and all that. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I can't say the company name.
No, that's fine.
But for a long time I was a lineman, and I was in charge of the maintenance contract. So I was the guy who, when a drunk driver hit a pole and you knocked out your service, we went out there. You know, where was the maintenance? I do new installation, which would be deadlines. You know, we run new lines, but I was a maintenance guy, right? Break fix type guy. And now I'm a senior project manager, and I'm actually in charge of modernizing our power grid from the Midwest to New York.
Wow.
So that's what I do.
So are you having to travel quite a bit, or you pretty much stay in an office, or how are you doing that?
So it starts off with Google Maps, right? You're looking at an area. You say, like, for instance, this particular town, the power is not 98.8% efficient. And you start looking at the infrastructure and say, you know, where can we build something? You know, where's there property available? And pick it out in Google Maps, but Google Maps is not always good. And then go there, look. and then start engineering. And I go to court at night and testify under oath for the company, and give my opinion for people who live within the towns. I'm considered a competent person, not like competent like I'm smart, but competent meaning like a qualified candidate because I'm a journeyman lineman, so I can legally speak on behalf of the company I work for.
Right.
So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool because I work with a lot of guys say they're so smart they're stupid. They have like all these fancy degrees, and I don't think they could use a shovel if they had to save their life. You know what I mean? And
well, the one thing you talking about getting on Google Maps now, my career has been in civil engineering, and we start basically the same way, either that or a survey or something. So we have to have something to start with and go on. And it's funny because I learned very early on in my career that anything I put on the drawing was merely a suggestion because you didn't know what was out there in the field.
Right.
And so I'm one of the ones that you complain.
Yeah.
Going, who drew this? It's been my frustration is, I did the best I could, and now I'm getting the raw wind of the deal because everybody's going, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, I understand that. I didn't see it out there, but I see that side of it as well. So
I worked for a company that's the third largest employer in the world for a while, and they had a huge engineering firm, and I had the privilege of working with some extremely talented engineers. They kind of take me under their shoulder and say like, hey Rick, you are our eyes and ears, exactly what you just said. Because I draw it this way, if you're like, hey, that ain't gonna work, then you got to draw red lines, and and I need to draw it in a way that they understand it, But I would laugh. They're like, this isn't to scale. I says, I'm not an engineer. You see that lat long? Yeah, measure it yourself.
The funny thing is I can sometimes, and this was early in my career. Now I pretty much do all the design now, but early in my career, I would ask the engineer, stick draw it. Just take and draw a line where you want this to go. And then I'll be the one who goes in and does the design work on it. So that's how I started back when I was young. So
yeah,
I totally understand that side too.
We call them Goonie maps, right?
Yeah.
Like from the Goonies the movie.
Well, I've had crayon drawings brought to me before asking me how to put this up or how to do this. So there is in North Carolina, there is an equestrian center that it's the closest thing I'll ever come to designing anything for Disney as far as the size of it and the scale and what it was meant for. And that was the most intense project I had ever done as well, because the fact of we were constantly, it was constantly moving all the time, and at times I was actually behind. I will never forget this as long as I live. I got a phone call one day, and he said, "Hey, we've got over here at so and so and such and such. We've got the concrete down for the sidewalk." I looked on my drawing; we didn't even have the concrete drawn yet. So they had got so far ahead of the design build section that they were out there building, and I was having to catch back up again. So, that's interesting. But working with line work and that kind of stuff, and you guys having to, especially transmission lines and stuff like that with your big right of ways and everything else, I'm sure that's a lot of work to figure all that out, to figure out what the best way is, because you're not going to make everybody happy, unfortunately. But you're trying to do for the company what's best and efficient for them, while at the same time, you may be providing a service for those people that are complaining.
Yes. So. For 3 years, I was in charge of the Illinois Tollway. And that was just comical because you'd finish a project and then they're like, time to start it over. Like, what? It took us 4 years to do that. We're going to rip it up now? Yep. Some don't make sense here.
I don't know if I want to do it again. I'm going to start over. So.
Why?
The one thing for me too is you get a design totally done and get ready and send it off to the owner, and then they go, "That's not what I want," and so you're back to step one again. So that's the frustration in the civil engineering side. So, but anything else you'd like to tell us about yourself, Rick?
No, I just want to tell people that, like, as you're going on YouTube and you're looking for people, just be mindful of who you're watching. If someone's telling you to buy anything, look at their YouTube channel. If every single month, every single week, they're putting out a video that says this is the best anything, and look at that same exact product that they made a video on, and there's no other videos other than that one time this was the best of something, take that with a grain of salt when you're buying that from them. Because remember that you don't make money on YouTube. How you make money is these sponsorships and these brand deals. So they could be not always being truthful and honest and telling you there's an incentive why they're telling you to buy it. And then the other thing is that we're not God's gift to wood. Like anytime you see a project, this is why a lot of my lives I show fails, because that I don't want anyone to be ever discouraged to say like their skill set's not at that level yet. Well, you don't know how many times that I may have failed, you know. So like I fail like just like everyone else, you know. And then you don't need the best of anything. Like if you got a jigsaw and a hand sander, you can make a lot, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's what you started with. That's what you start with, you know. I literally started with a circular saw and fence pickets and a sander, right? And I was screwing them together. And I was making planter boxes, and they were selling, you know. But every time I made money, I just put it right back in the tool, right back in the tool, right back in the tool. And that's how this wall is behind me, you know. And so I'm just saying, like, stick to the grind. Don't copycat someone, because like if you think like, oh, you know, Rick's making money doing this, or you know, Andy's making money doing this. Well, if you're not passionate about it, like you're gonna lose the momentum, because when the sales aren't there, when it's not fun anymore, you're not going to have that drive to keep going. So do something you're really interested in, and then turn that into a niche.
Right.
The only bandwagon I would say to jump on is holidays.
Yeah, and get it done well before. Because
Yes,
you're not involved if you're waiting till just before.
exactly. And I can tell you what, when it gets close, you're going to get everything gone, because you know you're like, oh man, this bombed and it didn't sell. And then it's the weekend before, and that person did not looking for something, all of a sudden wants to bring something as a gift to the party. You know, that's how it sells. But use Facebook Marketplace. Take Facebook Marketplace and put in your zip code and zero it down to 20 to 30 miles and see who's in your area that's selling something and see what sells. Yeah. And you'd be surprised at how many people that if you reach out to them, talk to them, say, hey man, I was thinking about doing this too. You know, what do you think of this? So what do you think of that? You know, you'd be surprised when people are honest with you, because they may have so much work that, you know, you're not a competition to them, you know, and they're established.
So we'll wrap up with this last question here, because you do have the scripture deep dive. So how did you evolve into your religious side there, Rick?
So I said that, you know, my life has drastically changed because, you know, God's put people in my life, right? And that when I was doing my YouTube channel is side hustles, right? How to earn additional income. And while you're earning additional income, it isn't always selfish reasons, like, you know, you want a new fancy car, or you want something. Most people, they have a full-time gig. They have a you know, a primary source of income, but it's just not enough. Like, it's just not enough. And when I made some of these videos, you know, people are coming to me saying, hey, Rick, thank you so much for doing this. And, you know, thank you. You know, you have no idea how you inspired me just to keep going, just to keep pushing through, you know. And when I felt like my head hit a wall, like I was just going to give up. And when you reached out to me, I was so surprised that you replied. And a lot of times people would say, you know, ask me, am I Christian? I do things. And I started doing the videos. And I had a lot of videos. And it was actually drawing a lot of attention into my, I said, hey, Jesus was a car, right? And that's why I laughed. But if the reason I split the two, it's like, it's not that I'm like, you know, denying my faith, or I'm splitting. The reason I did that is because, and I have to start posting more content, is because if I'm making, that's why I'm telling you niches. If I'm making Christian content, and then I'm making woodworking content, I'm not saying that as a Christian that by searching for it, that you wouldn't find my content, right? But if I made a complete separate channel that was just based on that, then YouTube would recommend it to more people. So I'd grow a larger audience. So even though I was helping people, even though I was reaching people, even though people who are business owners, entrepreneurs, you know, YouTubers are also of Christian faith, I wasn't helping myself being able to grow a larger audience by putting the two together.
Right.
So I decided that, you know what, that I'm enjoying doing this, it was kind of a test run, so to speak. I did it for like almost a year to see how is this going. And when I'm pulling in 100,000 views on people watching something on a weekly, 3-minute video, I said, okay, I'm doing something right. But I just think I'd get to that next level if I separated the two. Right. But it's a lot to start from scratch. So I wanted to see, is it something that I really should do? So yeah, I'm going to, and I downloaded all that content. I didn't just delete it. Right. And I'm just kind of repost it and then start new content as well. Wow, when you touch someone, sometimes you put out a message and you don't realize like how many people that hit home to, and how emotional people get it. People say, can I have your number? I just need to talk to you, or can I pray with you? It's phenomenal.
Well, you just don't realize what your impact is on anybody. You don't have that. We talked about blinders earlier. We put our blinders on and we just tell them what we want, what we need, what we think, and that kind of thing. And whatever we say may have helped them in some way that we never knew they had that issue with. So I totally understand that. And as we talked one time before, being Santa, I see a lot of that as well. You just, you have somebody who, for those 2 or 3 minutes, I can take them away from whatever they've got going on, whether it's a terrible life or just a bad day or whatever. And I can make them and have a good few minutes then, but I never see that result afterwards. So it's fun for me to do that and to hope that, they got something out of it once they leave. So, but anyway, well, we are about 41 minutes in, and I'm trying to keep these within 45 to 50 minutes, but I appreciate you coming on here, Rick. I appreciate you sharing your journey with us up to this point. And on top of that, I apologize to everybody who's watching with my internet. I'm going to have to bring it down from the up on the office and bring it down in here, I believe, to actually run these things so that it's close. But like I said, it was new, so I'm still trying to work the bugs out of it. But I appreciate everybody that came. I appreciate Rick for being here. And I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. And we will see y'all soon.
Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
No problem.